What's up, guys? Major breaking news coming out overnight that has shaken the stimulus world. I'm going to be getting you caught up on the latest, and also I've got some video footage. It might get taken down, but I'm going to try to share it with you to show you the latest. Now, first off, you guys, yesterday I'll let you know in my video the breaking news that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer came out and confirmed preliminary talks were taking place with Senator Joe Manchin on Biden's agenda trying to get that Build Back Better bill through. However, we're seeing articles coming out like this fierce mouth inside the White House that Manchin will agree to any deal. They're saying they're concerned, they're leaving, they're getting progress done, but they're not sure if Manchin is going to get on board. And actually, we're seeing this now. Democrats are offering a reality check on Joe Manchin and Build Back Better, saying we're trying. I'm going to be covering all the details for you on what was that Joe Manchin had to say now. In these articles, Manchin stirs the pot while others Democrats try to resuscitate their party line vision. Now, this first one from Politico is going to be very neutral. Then we're going to be hearing from Fox News, which is going to be giving some pretty dramatic details of what Joe Manchin had to say now, just because Joe Manchin is launching bipartisan talks on an energy and climate change package. It doesn't mean that he's throwing the towel in on Democrats' long sought party line social spending bill and tax bill, aka the Build Back Better stimulus reconciliation package. Now, the West Virginia Democrat reiterated yesterday that the day after he and Senator Lisa Murkowski organized a meeting with several fellow Democrats and one college on energy and climate, that he sees a party line bill this year as a way to reform the tax code match. His remarks were followed up as Tuesday morning's meeting with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was to discuss strategies for combating rising inflation. And we had heard from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer that those talks had gone well. Now, while Manchin isn't ready to torpedo all prospects of a party line bill this year the way that he squashed the $1.7 trillion package once called Build Back Better, he flatly rejected any effort to set a new timeline for reaching an agreement. Some of his Democratic colleges, meanwhile, are already talking about Memorial Day deadline to shape a new bill that can be steered past the filibuster using the budgetary maneuver known as reconciliation, which I've let you guys know here on the channel. We've heard the new arrival time by Congressives has been declared to be Memorial Day, which they're saying is the point of no return. Joe Manchin is now saying that is not the case. Reconciliation for me is about getting inflation under control, paying down this debt, getting a handle on what's going on through tax reform, Manchin told reporters after a meeting with Schumer, and this is what we saw in that video footage. If you missed it, this is some of what he's had to say now. The drag carriers, centrists, whose vote is essential for anything to pass the 50-50 Senate, said that his bipartisan energy discussions did not mean that the climate change provisions will be left out of any reconciliation bill that can advance. No, he said, adding that climate would be a big factor as lawmakers assembled party line legislation earlier. Manchin told politicals the bipartisan group's first meeting went well, but that they were just getting started. So he is not saying that it is that there is no revival, but it's just getting started right now. So at this moment, it has not been fully revived. Senators who attended, he headed just seeing if there's commonality to make sure that we have reliable energy and also be able to go down a path to address the climate issues that we're all concerned about. Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has not set a deadline for when the Democratic caucus would need to come together on a party line package, although a reconciliation bill would have to pass by September 30. The end of the fiscal year in order to maintain protection from the GOP filibuster, while Democrats have focused their messaging in recent weeks on lowering costs and addressing inflation. The path forward to a proposal that would unite all 50 members of the caucus is murky at this moment. they have not been able to unify. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer describes his meeting with Manchin as preliminary and good, said they continue talking. There are various levels of optimism in the Democratic caucus about the prospects of a party line, Bill said. Majority Whip Dick Birdie said, I'm a little bit more skeptical though. And we're hearing a lot of this because take a look at this article from Fox News, you guys. Manchin said he is not reviving Biden's Build Back Better agenda, which is something that he did say. However, he said talks are just beginning. Manchin is crucial to the 50 votes to getting this passed in the Senate with the filibuster. Now, this article says Senator Joe Manchin once again poured cold water in hopes of the Senate passing President Biden's ambitious Build Back Better social spending plan. There's not a Build Back Better revival, Manchin told reporters Tuesday on the Capitol. There is not, and this is some of the video footage that we saw a moment ago. Hopefully you saw it. Match is that legislation that deals with major social changes as Build Back Better sought to tackle free preschool, clean energy projects, and healthcare needs to go through the regular Senate process and build back consensus. And if you think you need reconciliation because you got to a great piece of legislation but people are playing politics with it, that's another one. We hadn't had hearing on any of these things. Manchin said that with the Senate equally divided, all 50 senators of the Democratic caucus must unite in passing sweeping spending legislation through the process called budget reconciliation. Now, but both Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have previously opposed the roughly $2 trillion social spending plan and environmental bill that passed the House in November, and efforts to pass the pared-down bill that they could support have since supported. Now, you guys, we will see, because as you know, through the process of reconciliation and must go through the Senate with a majority vote. There's 100 seats in the Senate. That means they needed 51 votes, and right now the Senate is split 50 Republicans, 50 Democrats, which means all Democrats must unify to get 50 votes, and then the tie-breaking vote is determined by the sitting vice president, which is a Democrat, Kamala Harris, who will vote in favor of Democrats. So they need to get every single Democratic senator on board, and just one saying no could throw off the entire thing. And right now, the one saying no is Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, but as you've seen, they're actually being praised for them stopping some of their social spending plans going through, because a lot of Americans concerned about this record high inflation and debt. Now, reading on Manchin, who has long raised concerns about how excess spending could drive up inflation, gave no indication on Tuesdays that he was in a hurry to get something done. He has said that the reconciliation process should be used for financial means, and the U.S. financial house is not an order with runaway inflation that is hurting everyday Americans. Everybody in America is getting hit by this, Manchin said about inflation, which reached a 40-year high. It attacks, and there's no way to camouflage. That Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer met with Senator Joe Manchin yesterday, Tuesday, at the Capitol to discuss the pathway forward. Schumer contends that the way to address inflation is to undo some of President Trump's 2017 tax cuts, and the budget reconciliation process will be needed for that. Our meetings were both preliminary and good, Schumer said on Tuesday at his talks to Joe Manchin, and we're going to continue to keep talking. So there you have it, you guys. Major breaking news coming out, shaking the world of Congress and stimulus. We're going to be seeing what unfolds, and I'll keep you up to date here on the channel.